There's a saying that nothing is scarier. It refers to the instinctual human fear of the unknown, an absence of familiar things or the inability to perceive those that are actually present that leaves us scrambling for something, anything, in which we can restore our comfort zones and remain snug and cozy in our pitiful status quos. But sometimes things change, and with it our minds and outlooks are forced to change alongside it. And that's how we end up with a movie like It Comes at Night, a movie that uses fear to draw attention to one of the more uncomfortable facets of contemporary society. Unlike the other one of those movies that we already had this year, the hill on which It Comes at Night intends on dying is not made immediately clear, and the straightforward, albeit somewhat misleading, marketing didn't really do the movie any favors by suggesting that the sequence of events was going to play out just like any old horror movie that, while perhaps done better from a technical perspective, wouldn't have made it anything special. But it is something special. It's a good movie. It is, however, not a great movie. It's a good movie that comes so close to being great, it's kind of disappointing that it wasn't able to make that final step. There's a couple different things holding it back, but let's take a moment to address the positives first. The most important thing this film gets right is tone. Solid direction combined with minimal lighting, meditative cinematography, and a haunting score create a palpably suspenseful atmosphere, even in scenes where the plot isn't being driven explicitly forward. The acting is stellar across the board, including a surprise turn for the perpetually baby-faced Joel Edgerton as a desperate and authoritative patriarch through whom the majority of the film's message is projected. The production design is brimming with attention to detail, creating an environment wholly interactive enough to almost be considered its own character. The social commentary is woven tastefully into the film's script, and it never feels forced just for the sake of making an opinionated point. The screenplay is very open-ended, and many of the events play out contextually isolated, with a significant portion being left up to interpretation, an approach which has both its strengths and weaknesses. For starters, being ambiguous means that the audience can connect the story's dots with their own interpretation of the film's events, which can be an effective conversation starter in promoting intellectual and non-intellectual conversation following its abrupt but thematically appropriate conclusion. However, it seems that It Comes at Night might have gone a little overboard in that department. So many of the film's most striking moments occur in a vacuum, with not so much as a passing mention for the remainder of the runtime, that they might as well have not happened at all. It puts the movie in a strange position where it feels as if crucial events from the plot are missing, but at the same time, if the movie were any longer than it is at 90 minutes, it would run the serious risk of becoming boring due to its generally slow pace. It's so ambiguous, in fact, that whatever your headcanon is for the events surrounding the film, provided that you're not somehow convinced that the disease was engineered by aliens Ted Cruz or aliens that just happen to look like Ted Cruz, you're in pretty good shape when it comes to defending your position. And again, the story is deliberately simple, so perhaps this was the filmmaker's intent, but I can't help but think that something intended to have such succinct parallels to reality would benefit from a more concrete approach. But to be fair, the same kind of shit bugged me in Get Out as well, so maybe it is just me. Maybe the overthinkers like myself were the real monsters the whole time. Guys, I did it. I solved reality. We can all go home now. Okay, so not really, but for what it's worth, It Comes at Night is still a good, solidly crafted, tense, and satisfyingly uncompromising film. It's an unconventional yet refreshing and functionally sound take on an extremely tired genre, and despite the minor problems I do have with it, I still wouldn't be surprised if I end up seeking it out to rewatch once it hits video on demand or whatever. This one gets a solid 7, and I will see you next time.